It's a good one today, guys. 2 big takeaways from my conversation with a recovered porn addict and how to manifest your dream career. Welcome to the 3rd installment of the Raw Dog Update, an unfiltered, unedited update on personal life, business, and I finish it off with the lesson of the week, something that's been inspiring me. I'm so excited. I'm flying to London in 6 hours. We've got a 3.5-week holiday planned, and I'm just, I'm ecstatic. It's been over 6 months since a proper break. We're flying over to visit Zoe's family in London, or England, which is funny because we've been dating for 14 months and I haven't met her family. Obviously, we've caught up on FaceTime, but it's the first time we'll actually hang out in real life and have some quality time. So I'm really thrilled to meet her family and see where she grew up and meet her friends. It's funny dating someone for that long, but having that part of them still undiscovered. So that's going to be an absolute joy. We're flying out in 7 hours. I've got a little bit of packing left to do. We've got some friends coming in to house sit and look after Oscar. So I'll make sure that it's all ready for them. And I'll just hit you with some updates. That's a personal update that I've got a trip coming up. I have done a few trips with Zoe, so it's certainly not our first overseas trip, but she's such a vibrant, fun person to travel with. And one of my favorite things about traveling is the flight over there, which sounds kind of ridiculous, but there's something magic about being in the sky. You've got no commitments, nothing on the to-do list, and you can have a glass of wine, relax, and look at life through a fresh lens because you're not tied to your routine or your environment. And that's where I like to pull out the journal and write. So I'm really excited for that little period tonight, flying somewhere over the ocean. In terms of preparing for the flight, this morning I was trying to think of the best way to do that, whether it's going to the gym, going for a swim. I ended up going for an ice bath and a sauna because I wanted to make sure that my legs, and being a 6-foot-something male, I'm very limby. I don't know if you can tell, but I've got to put a bit of prep into the limbs these days just so that they don't cramp up on the flight. So didn't do weights this morning, did an ice bath and a sauna, and I'm feeling prepared. I'm feeling ready to go. I'll dive into the business update this week. I've put out 2 really cool bits of long-form content this week. The first is my podcast episode with Jeremy Lipkowitz. He's an addiction coach, and the podcast is all about our complex and curious relationship with porn. It's really helpful for people who might be trying to work out if they've got a problem with porn or even if they're trying to break an addiction to porn. But as you'll hear in the episode, Jeremy's advice really applies to anyone who's grappling with any kind of addiction of their own, because the antidote to a porn addiction, the solution, the way we can break the grip of a porn addiction, grip, probably could have used a better word there, but the remedies to treat porn addiction is applicable to any addiction, because essentially when people over-rely on porn, it's an escape method. They're looking for that dopamine hit to escape day-to-day life. And Jeremy will speak to this more in the episode, but meditation is a really powerful way to overcome those cravings because you're sitting with yourself and you're just sitting with your energy and you're noticing things that come up and you're not giving in to that temptation. So anyway, I'll let you listen to the episode, but 2 really great takeaways from that for me. And having listened to the episode again, there are so many bits in there which are just incredibly valuable. I was trying to cut an Instagram reel out of the episode, and it's almost like every time Jeremy speaks, makes a great Instagram reel. So go check that episode out. But 2 takeaways for me was when we talk about sometimes in a relationship, porn creates this energetic divide between partners where the man or the woman is no longer looking at their partner for sexual gratification because their sole source of intimacy is porn. And you can imagine that building this wedge between partners. The man's not looking at his woman around the house as someone for connection because he knows that he's got porn for that. And obviously this applies for any sort of gender or sexual orientation. But it's just a really good eye-opener about how maybe quite a harmless or perceived harmless relationship with porn can be having a detrimental effect on your relationship. And the second point I got from that episode that comes to mind at the moment is when we watch porn, the part of our brain that lights up is the part that deals with object recognition. And that's significant because it's not an emotional part of our brain. We're simply looking at porn and people within it as objects. And Jeremy talks to the potential repercussions this has on day-to-day life, seeing women in the real world as objects rather than a source of emotional connection. And that's just one of the ways that porn can potentially be quite detrimental. A really fascinating episode. Even if you don't think you have a problem with porn, there might be a few bits and pieces in there which might just rethink your relationship with it. Now, moving on to the lesson of the week. My other long-form piece of content this week was a blog article outlining my manifestation process, and it's done really well. So I'm going to share apart from that. I probably should have pulled this up before, but sticking to the theme, I shall not edit it. Okay, so here's a little excerpt. In 2018, a leaked internal Facebook report revealed that 64% of people who joined extremist groups did so because of Facebook's recommendation algorithm. We assume that'll never happen to us. However, knowing that the subconscious doesn't critically analyze information and is instead programmed to believe whatever we tell it to believe, it's easy to understand how extreme content, when served consistently by an algorithm, can begin to brainwash an individual. We're more susceptible to brainwashing than we like to believe. So what if we brainwashed ourselves for success? And that's the theme of the article. Knowing that our subconscious doesn't know what's in the past or the future or what's right or wrong, it receives information more like a computer. It just believes what we tell it to believe. And we can use that to our advantage by visualizing and imagining our dream reality in vivid detail and stirring up the emotions that come with that. And if we do that in key times, say before bed or when we're waking up, when our brain is in a malleable state, we can begin to communicate to our subconscious that future reality is in the present. And then our subconscious will make decisions throughout the day aligned with that dream reality. And that's essentially the work of Joe Dispenza and the science behind how manifestation works. If you are interested in that, let me know in the comments and I'll write some more content on this because I love it. I froth out on this stuff and it's really helped me achieve success in my acting work and also in my entrepreneurial business stuff. It works. And anyone you speak to who goes to a Dispenza conference will attest to that. I'll read out another part of this. I found that the most effective time to communicate with my subconscious is right before sleep using a journal. This is when our brain slips into alpha state, which is known as the gateway to the subconscious mind. To help activate this state, try listening to relaxing music, including binaural beats or sound baths. Remembering that our subconscious communicates through emotion and visualization, write down your visions for the future and allow positive emotions to wash over you. With repetition, the subconscious will begin aligning its actions with this vision. I often find that waking up the next day, still inhibiting these positive emotions, is no doubt helping me step towards my dream reality. That's another part of this. When you do this journaling work before bed, you wake up the next morning in a better mood. You wake up with more gratitude and more ambition and more drive because you're communicating to your subconscious in that dreamlike state about this new future, and that sits on your subconscious. That sits on your psyche while you're sleeping. The flip side of that might be, have you ever noticed that when you have a fight with your partner before bed, you wake up in a shitty mood? It's because our brain is really vulnerable in those moments before we sleep. So we've got to feed it positive, helpful information. I'm going to leave it there because I have some packing to do and I've got to go jump on a flight. But I hope you enjoyed this episode. I'm loving these updates. Could be one of my favorite parts of content because it's unscripted. I just get to sit down and open up. And I'm really grateful for the comments and for you following along on this journey. So hopefully I'll see you next week somewhere in Europe. Adios. Ciao. That's probably more fitting.